Hello, hello! Welcome to Zelda Speedruns 2, and welcome to more coverage of LavaDash tournament in Twilight Princess. Today we have a redemption bracket round 1 match for you. It's Simikins versus Kitcot, and on commentary for you today are Kick and Skyrion. Cake, Skyrion, how are you folks?
Doing very well, thank you.
Very good.
Excited to commentate this match.
It's going to be a fun one, for sure.
Yeah, Simikins, being the world record holder of this category, had a really unfortunate last match. He was, one of the favorites to take this whole thing, but some really unfortunate series of events had him get a very unfortunate race result. So he's now in the redemption bracket, which is like a side event sort of thing where it's not part of the main bracket, but they're still competing for the fun of it. Although Glubbers did actually hint towards having maybe like a prize for this bracket too that he would put on. So he hinted towards a Wii copy, I believe. That's exciting. But I guess no promises.
Yeah, I guess those things can easily happen, like in a category like that. When like sword and shield skip, like missing sword and shield skip, like really puts you in a bad spot, especially in a race.
For sure. I'm gonna open race time as well, so I can look at the timer. Yeah, so this category utilizes a glitch called text displacement, which is kind of complicated. It's a very fragile glitch in a way. You can very easily disable the glitch once you have it, because your goal is to like get the glitch and then apply it to an NPC in the game. And if you do something just a little bit off, then you can very easily lose the glitch. And that's what happened to Simi. He was not paying attention to his screen and accidentally triggered a cutscene, which like stole the glitch from him. And he didn't realize in time to back it up. And I timed that it takes about, I think it was like 8 minutes. I can dig it up in my notes later, to like reroute on the fly to get the glitch from another place, which he did. So he did finish, which was still great. Always great to see people finish even when things go wrong. Alright, so we are setting up.
And it looks like we are looking at a bit of a delay. Still waiting for one of the runners to get ready.
Yep.
Meanwhile, maybe you can tell the viewers and me as well, because I'm honestly not sure yet what exactly is the LavaDash tournament about.
Yes, so this category, Goron Mines RTA, is actually one of the oldest categories for this game. It was raised all the way back in 2011 by prominent veteran runners such as Fino, Ing, Ing, and I believe even Rob West might have participated at one point. I'm not entirely sure what the full backstory is. I asked Fino for some details, but it seems like it was just, this is one of the dungeons that you normally skip at 90%. So I suppose they just wanted to raise this dungeon as it was. They were kind of just looking for a dungeon to race that you would normally not race. There were also Forest Temple races, where you just go from a new file to Forest Temple and beat the Forest Temple as fast as you can. So this just kind of sprung out from that, I suppose. And it used to be a pretty linear route. For example, you couldn't do early Master Sword, which is a very, it's like a staple glitch of 3D Zelda speedrunnings in general, actually. But that messes up some flags, because the game is like, if you have the Master Sword already, then you shouldn't be allowed. You're not going to get entry to Goron Mines because you already beat the dungeon. So it's like an invisible wall, like it's put there. So the old routes had to just play pretty casually, and then just doing like some small time saves here and there. But with the text displacement glitch that was found a few years ago, it actually allowed us to use early Master Sword. So the route now is actually very interesting. And the category has evolved to be quite a fun category to run. I ran it with the oldest route. I think that was 2018 when I started. I just kind of looked at the board and thought, oh, this looks interesting. And then it has seen some development over time, which is very fun to see. So it went from like an hour, 10, 13 minutes ish, down to a 56, I believe 56:14 by Simikins. Gotta double check the seconds there. Yes, 56:14, which is a very nice run. He played incredibly close to his summer best with that run. It's that kind of like run of your life that just comes out of nowhere. And it looks like we are getting ready to start. 9 seconds to go.
Oh yeah, Simikins here.
And we're off. So,
Yep. Commentators, you will need to refresh your commentary page once because we do have a built-in 30-second stream delay over here on CSR just to buffer some delay.
right.
Yep.
So we should get going in about 10 seconds for our stream watchers.
About now. All right.
Good luck,
So,
Simikins and Kitcot.
yes, good luck to both runners. Kitcot, unfortunately, talking to, I believe Fado is his name. Rolling is the fastest way of movement in this game, so you want to press the A button to roll, and it's also the button to talk, so that was a bit unfortunate at the beginning, but it's no big deal. They're going to start off by picking up this rock and use this rock to side hop into the gate, and the rock will push them into the gate. They can then bonk the gate, and then hopefully bonk out on the other side, which gives them access to a void plane. And the goal is to void out and reset the game on the same frame. And if you do that, you will respawn on the title screen, and you can play around on the title screen. So the title screen is not like a movie file that's being played in the intro sequence. It's actually, the game renders that as like a fully playable sequence. And they're going to do the safe method of Back in Time, where they go all the way over to this part of the bridge, because they can... Oh no, Simi went for the... Oh, it looks like both of them messed it up, actually. Well,
So it's about even.
it's tight again. So you would press the A button to drop down and then D-pad right to open up the map. And if you hit those buttons at the same time, then it's a very reliable method of getting the correct frame for the trick. And what some people do is that they unplug their controller, hold down those two inputs, and then replug. And so the game is like, as soon as the controller gets registered, the game will read those two inputs at the same time, and it's a consistent way of performing it. But hitting two buttons at the same time without replugging is fairly easy as well. It's just like nerves that can get you, and I guess that might have happened here. So it... Oh, again from Simi. Well, Kitcot is having some trouble getting through the gate, so it's alright for Simi's part. So since this is the first glitch in the game, this is where you would reset your run until you get first try, as it's so close to the beginning. Since we can skip cutscenes in this game by just pressing start twice, which is a huge upgrade from Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, where you have to watch an intro sequence, although there is now a allowed... it's allowed to start after the intro recently. Right, so Kitcot is looking like he's going to unplug. Do the safe
So it's
method.
doing the super safe method.
And he's looking at his controller and being very confused it's not working. So Kitcot has 1 heart left, which is not enough. You need at least 2 hearts to do this. Because when you void out, you will take a heart of damage. So this should not work for Kitcot, he needs to...
If you've seen N% runs, or maybe even Goron Mine RTA's runs before, you've probably seen the side hop that they do. It's a frame perfect item wheel buffer you need to do. Well, technically it is 2 frames, I guess. If you get the early frame, you can still make it work by pressing B 1 frame earlier, but since it's really hard, most runners go for the safe method by the bridge.
Yeah, especially for a race like this, you want to not, not be too risky. But it looks like Simi finally got it, so he voided out on the title screen to get rid of the HUD where it says press start to play, so that he could save the game, and then when he loads that file, he will have inherited the properties of the title screen link. which has the hero's clothes, Ordon's sword, and Hylian's shield. You don't actually have the sword and the shield in your equipment screen, but it does work for combat. And this is important because there's a point later on in the run where the game checks to see if you have gotten the sword and shield from their intended locations. And because you don't have them in your inventory screen, you just kind of, you have the items in an arbitrary way. The game doesn't consider that you actually have them, so you need to perform a trick later called sword and shield skip to go past the trigger that asks you to acquire those items. But it's very convenient to have these early on for the beginning of the game here. In a category such as no save and quit, you would be without weapons if you want to use the fastest route. So you would, but you still need to defeat a couple of bokoblins outside the entrance of Forest Temple. And the way to do that is actually pretty interesting, because there is an NPC called Trill, which will attack the bokoblins for you, but it's very difficult to line them up correctly. But since we have the sword and the shield from this glitch, then it's a very easy ordeal. Alright, so Kitcot finally got back in time. It's still very early on, and as Cake mentioned at the beginning with sword and shield skip being a pretty detrimental trick for, especially for races, then, you know, we could see that Simi, who's now currently in the lead, could lose a lot of time to sword and shield skip, whereas Kitcot could get a first try, so it's still, anything could happen.
If
So
anything, like, I would personally feel like if you make a mistake, a bit of the nerves start to loosen up a bit. At least from my experience.
Yeah.
So that can also be beneficial. Well, not really beneficial, but at least the nerves might be gone.
Yeah, when I was doing my race for the first pool, when I got past sword and shield skip first try, a lot of my nerves went away.
Right.
So that is definitely a big one. Although there is one later in Elden Twilight, which it isn't a mandatory trick, but it does lose a lot of time if you fail it. So that might be another one similar to sword and shield skip in terms of nerves. So Simikins is coming up to a story event here. You gotta save Tallow and this monkey from these bokoblins. This will advance Ordon to the next state where, the next day, where we can herd some goats and then eventually leave the village and continue on with the run. But this beginning is, it's all about getting to the cage as fast as you can. And conveniently, after loading the back in time save, they were placed in Ordon Spring, which is a bit further ahead than, you know, outside of Link's house. So the trick is called back in time, but technically they're put forward in time. It's just that when the trick was discovered, it was discovered by somebody who was in Arbiter's Grounds, which is like the 4th dungeon in the game. And when they performed it, they were sent back to the beginning of the game. So they lost progress. Well, if they decided to save the game, then. So that's why it's called back in time, even though, technically speaking, when we do it at the beginning of the run like this, we go forward in time. But, you know, old naming conventions, they tend to stay. So Simi herding some goats, looking for a sub 20, but still like a low 20 is still a good time. One goat being uncooperative. Sub 30, maybe.
It's usually how it goes with the goats.
Yeah. And Kitcot about to herd goats as well. So if Kitcot can get like, you know, like an 18-second goat or something, he'll save a lot of time over Simi on the goat sequence. There's a lot of potential to catch up. So normally in any percent, you would get the iron boots from Bo right after herding goats, because the properties of the file that you got from back in time is that the Ordon village is now in a state where you can actually get the iron boots from Bo really early on. But we want to use Bo's text for text displacement later, which I alluded to a bit at the beginning. So we actually don't want to talk to Bo at all in this beginning part. If we do, we'll have to get text displacement in a different way. And it ends up being faster to just save getting the iron boots until later. So we can first use Bo's text to gain access to Goron mines, and then go back to Blow again to wrestle him for the Iron Boots after unlocking the mines.
So Simikins is using the Japanese version of the game, and I think Kitcot is using the Spanish, right?
I think so.
Or is it? Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what language is the fastest that isn't Japanese.
I
But-
believe that is Spanish.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it goes Japanese, Spanish. I don't remember how it goes after that, but I can dig that up. And we did actually post that the other day. But yes, Japanese is about a second faster. Text in TP is very quick anyway, so it doesn't really matter between the versions. Let's see, Japanese fastest, then Spanish being 21 frames slower, Italian then being 33 frames slower, which is tied with German, and then English being 40 frames slower than Japanese, and then finally French being 80 frames slower than Japanese, so French being the slowest one. Relatively by a long shot, but still 80 frames is not much at all, it's just over 2 seconds. And the winning prize for winning the tournament is a Japanese copy. So if you really like this category and you end up winning the tournament, then and you don't have the Japanese version already, then you will end up getting the most optimal version to run on for your attempts later. So
For Goron Mines RTA.
yes, it's pretty much the only one. Because when it comes to glitchless, Japanese would also be slightly faster for text reasons, although the Wii version is fastest, due to having slightly faster loads, and just some small things like being able to aim with the Wiimote being faster in some scenarios. So Japanese GameCube is pretty fast for glitchless, but technically not optimal.
So going through sewers here, there's a bunch of frame perfect midnight talks. Like you, there
Sim
you
just got it, nice.
Yeah, you see there. I don't know how much it saves exactly, if you know, Sky.
It's about a second for each one.
For each one, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of more coming up.
So there's like, if there's a text box, in most cases, if Midnight has a text box for you, before she travels to a location, there's usually one frame where you can instantly jump towards where she's going. And there will be one, after Simi leaves this area, there will be a cutscene, and then immediately after the cutscene, Midnight will talk to you, but you can do a jump attack. Just like that. Very nice. That saves actually a bit more than a second, because Midnight's, or... yeah, I would say maybe like a second and a half. But yeah, sewers, this is where we're wolfling for the first time. The runners are doing a lot of dash cancelling, which is dashing, and then as long as your dash gets interrupted within a 10 frame window, I believe, then you can dash again. So you'll see them dashing off of ledges, like right before going off of a ledge. They can dash again as soon as they land. Otherwise they'd have to wait out a timer before they're able to dash again. They can also interrupt the dash by doing a B attack, or by climbing out of water actually if you're dashing in water. So it ends up saving like a little bit of time here and there.
This whole segment is basically just movement based. It's pretty fun. No real tricks involved. There's a huge trick coming up though.
Yeah, speaking of real tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because of the state that Ordon Village is in due to the back-in-time save at the beginning, it is no longer possible to obtain the Ordon Sword and Ordon Shield from their intended locations in the village. If you try, then the NPCs won't be there. The first sequence is that you'll go outside of a house where there are some people talking, and they're just not there in the state that the game is currently in. So you just cannot get the items. So instead, we need to bypass the trigger where Midna says, hey, go and get the sword and shield. Because outside of the Twilight Wall, there's two triggers. The first one is go get the sword and shield, and the one that's slightly ahead of that is welcome into the Twilight. And you can actually lure this Bulblin all the way over to the other side of the bridge and use a jump attack on him, an enemy jump attack, enemy long jump attack, So you get some extra height and distance using this enemy, and you can bypass the first trigger, and then you'll hit the second trigger instead, the one that says welcome in. And it's a very precise trick. It sort of just barely works, which is a fun thing in TP. A lot of tricks just barely works. And this is where you could potentially lose a lot of time if you fail it. That was a very good setup, but Simi unfortunately just mistimed that jump attack at the very end. That was looking really good.
Very close.
So he has to void out here, because if you kill this Bulblin, which we've named Hugo, Surreal named him that in 2011. If you kill him, he's permanently dead. He will not respawn. So when you're learning this game, we highly suggest that you make a save here, or you have some sort of way of, that you don't kill him and then save your game afterwards. And he can only take 2 jump attack hits, so he's not able to, or well, he can only take. He doesn't have enough health for you to try it twice, so you need to void out to reset the whole map so that his health gets reset, basically. And because Simi failed that, Kitcot has now gotten enough time to catch up, so they're now synced again. So this was just like a commentator's curse in a way, like I mentioned earlier. And it's RNG whether Hugo will swing at you or just be in an idle animation.
And Simikins got it. Nice. And Hugo's swinging a lot for Kitcot, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's having some bad RNG.
He's very close to the wall.
Yeah, you want to try to push Hugo out of the wall a bit so that he's like right in front of the Twilight wall. That looks good. Nice, very nice. So first try for Kitcot, second try for Simi. But Kitcot having some unfortunate RNG and just having to wait for Hugo to stop swinging before he can push him again. But this is very fun, that, Simi originally having a huge lead, but then, Kitcot catching up because of Simi getting second try a Sword and Shield skip. Well, unfortunately for him, but exciting for the spectators. This is where we learn the midnight charge attack. And you can't leave this fight without learning the ability. And this charge attack ends up being pretty useful for a glitch later, right, Kick?
Midnight charge, yes.
Yeah.
Coming up in a little bit, which we're gonna do. You've probably seen it in any percent too. But we'll touch on that when it comes.
Yeah, no teasers. So, in any percent, you would skip getting the Pharaon vessel, because we can. The reason why we would do this is that, well, after beating Pharaon Twilight, you spawn a golden wolf outside a forest temple, and that wolf will teach you ending blow, and you need to do ending blow on Ganondorf to beat the game. There's a hard check for it. So if you get to the end of the game and you don't have ending blow, you can't finish the game. But we can actually spawn a golden wolf elsewhere, so there's no need to complete this Twilight in any percent. But we complete this Twilight in Goron RTA because we want the state of Pharaon to, be in the non-Twilight state, so we can use back in time again later to warp to the King Bulblin fight. And defeating King Bulblin conveniently places us in Kakariko. And we gotta go to Kakariko for many reasons, and it's a very convenient way to get there. That's the reason why we clear the Twilight here. Ends up just being a faster route. And Simikins got a nice trick there where he turned off senses as soon as he killed the bug so that Koro couldn't talk to him. Let's see if Kitcot gets it right here. So the goal is to charge them with a midnight charge and then turn off senses. Yeah, very nice. Normally Koro would have like a couple of text boxes for you there. He's like talking to himself, going like, what just happened? But by turning off senses, you make it so that he can't say that. Saving like, maybe like a second and a half.
So happy we skip all of these bugs in 90%.
Yeah, that's very interesting, the routing that you do, because depending on the category that you're running, you can collect these tiers in different ways, like leave tiers for later and whatnot. In this category, the only tiers we don't immediately collect are the first two. And it just ends up being convenient with how we do a trick coming up shortly. I guess we're not teasing until it happens. But yes, because there's like a delay after you kill a bug to when you can collect the tier. This is not the case for Twilight Princess HD. That's one of the changes they made, is that the tiers become instantly collectible as soon as the bugs poof into these light forms. Very good bugs from both in this area. If you make a little mistake here, they can go flying and you can have to chase them around. Now Simikins, he's a man who's very he likes you know, the risky fast strats in general. So right here there's a safe strat where you can void out, so you respawn these bugs very conveniently, but Simi will instead try to dig them up, which is slightly faster, but only if you get a quick kill right afterwards. Let's see how this goes. That's very nice. That ends up being faster. The ground here can be a little uneven, so your Midna charge can be a bit... You can miss some of the bugs.
And speaking of risky setup, wonder what it's gonna do here.
Oh yeah.
Looks...
the Shadow Beast was a bit too far away from the wall. So, getting the Master Sword early, it's a staple of Twilight Princess speedrunning, and Simi getting the super jump right away, very nice. So we're using the Midna charge to get a super jump, as we call it, from these Shadow Beasts to get up on a ledge and then go out of bounds. But before we do that, we want to get the 2 tiers outside of Forest Temple, because we don't intend to kill all the Shadow Beasts and get the Warp Portal here, because we need to use them to perform early Master Sword. So let's see if Kitcot gets it as well. Shadow Beast also being far away from the wall, so bad RNG if you wanted to go for the fast method. But good RNG on the swing. Oh, unfortunate. Very close. So the Shadow Beast will either swing quickly or slowly. And it's technically possible to do it on the quick swing, but it's very unreliable. So ideally you want to see that the Shadow Beast swings at you very slowly, so you can attempt the trick. Let's see what he gets. Another slow swing. Very nice. So good RNG. Gets the second try. And Simi now going for the fast method. Oh, and he gets it.
Nice. That looks so good.
Yeah, you need to get like a bit of a higher jump. Like it's a lot easier to bonk the wall there from that angle. But very nice EMS. So EMS early Master Sword, early entry to Sacred Grove. Normally you're supposed to come here after beating the first 3 dungeons. But since you're supposed to be Wolf anyway, as long as you can get here as Wolf, you can just do the whole sequence now without having beaten any dungeons. Kitcot talking to a monkey.
So the way Simikins did the EMS the last time, I believe it's faster to do it the first time, like he did it, the last attempt he did it, but then do it the normal way, the normal setup, the next time you arrive here. So
yes.
You would do it the normal EMS setup.
Which is what Kitcot is doing right now from this right side here.
Yep.
Still getting good RNG from the Shadow Beast,
Nice.
though, that's very nice. So Kitcot also making his way into Sacred Grove. As long as he doesn't void here. You can actually void out as you do that final jump if you're not careful, but all went well.
Never done it before.
If you're just too far left, then yeah, you'll get like a crush void. It is faster to go earlier left, but it can be a bit risky if you don't know what you're doing, or if you mess up. So, yeah, getting the Master Sword early is a staple of Twilight Princess speedrunning, just like most other 3D Zelda games, like getting the Master Sword early. Ocarina of Time also can get the Master Sword incredibly early. And in this game, the Master Sword also gives you access to transforming between Wolf and Human, and also warping between the warp portals that you have unlocked. So it ends up being very useful for more than just combat reasons. You know, in Ocarina of Time, you use it to go travel back and forth in time. Also being like a huge key sort of game mechanic. So the same thing here, getting the Master Sword early allows you to exploit these key mechanics early on. Whereas in Wind Waker it's more like just events that, you know, you need the Master Sword to beat the game, but the Master Sword doesn't really allow you to warp or anything. You have other things for that. But still, getting the Master Sword early in like any 3D Zelda game is pretty big. And it allows for a much faster route of this category. Because before we had text displacement, we couldn't do EMS, so we had to Push a monkey. Well, you don't need to push him, it just saves a little bit of time. We say monkey pushing in the fog area. So the next time, after clearing the twilight, the next time you get a key from Koro, you go to the fog area again. If you swing your lantern, a monkey will steal it and then guide you through the fog. And it's a very slow sequence to get to Forest Temple then. And the old route had to do that. And get the boomerang and just beat the Forest Temple and whatnot. But this time, well, with this current route, we actually don't get the boomerang. And the boomerang is the most broken item in TP as it allows you to perform long jump attacks with it. On GameCube, I should say. So on Wii it's not possible, unfortunately. But it allows you to get like that long jump we saw earlier with Hugo the Bulblin. Except that it's a lot more, many more applications where you can use it. But it's actually faster to skip boomerang entirely for Goron Mine's RTA and just never go into Forest Temple. So Simikins is coming up to the end of the sequence here.
Has anyone during the tournament used boomerang?
Yes, Botchan was actually using the boomerang route. He is one of the few people who used that route. I might be mistaken, but I think also... oh man, what's his name? He's been inactive for so long now. It's like 2 people who have used the boomerang route. Hang on, let me see.
It's much respect for it.
It's Latella, I think, might have also used the boomerang route. Yeah, his comment is Rang Gang. So Latella and Botchan using the boomerang. Ace also using the boomerang. Well, not anymore, but used to. She used to race those 2 a lot in the category. But yeah, the boomerang route is... I don't know if it's been timed exactly. I just remember doing a run with it in one race, just to like get a feel for the difference. And I think it's like roughly 5 minutes. Yeah, Latella. I blanked for a second. I miss his runs. So there's like a 2-frame window where you can hit the button for senses. The screen will flash, as we see on Kitcot's screen. Although we just missed 2 in a row. There we go. It's just for fun. There's no way to speed up the sequence, so... You know, runners will often do this just for fun, or they might solve the puzzle a bit more lazily by just like listening for the game audio and having their thumb move the control stick when they hear Wolfling jump here and there, and they just have their focus on another screen looking at Twitter or something. That's what I do. So here's the Master Sword early.
Yep, both runners in the Master Sword cutscene. They're relatively synced.
Yeah, it'll be pretty nice to see for a race. So here's the Shadow Crystal. This allows you to warp, or well, transform into wolf and human at will. And it's interesting, as soon as you start the cutscene, you're given Master Sword right away, but you don't get the Shadow Crystal until like halfway through the cutscene-ish. So I wonder why they did it. It makes sense in terms of the cutscene, but usually the developers will just kind of give you that right away, like, okay, the cutscene is playing, now you have the items, because there's no way to save the game or die during a cutscene or anything, so there's no way to interrupt the sequence. But interestingly enough, there is a difference between the Master Sword and the Shadow Crystal there in that cutscene. So Simi now warping to South Pharaon. This was the fight we did clear with the Shadow Beast, so we do have this warp portal, and this is where we left the last 2 bugs to be collectible, or to be collected. And after this, he will spawn right in the spring here, and the area will have the right properties to perform Back in Time Equipped, which is back in time and then saving, well, using a save file during the title screen sequence. And Kitcot just finishing up the Master Sword cutscene as well. There was a 1-frame backflip there where Simi could have skipped this midnight text, but a 1-frame trick, and TP does have a lot of 1-frame tricks. Can't really hit them reliably all the time. So Simi will now save, and the file that he just saved has the right properties for back in time equipped, having done a bit save at the beginning of the game, back in time save, and then cleared Fair and Twilight. So now he will do the same thing at the start of the game by hanging off the bridge, although this time he comes from this direction, so this is the fastest way of doing it. Hopefully it goes right this time. Very nice.
Looks like you got it, yeah.
So he will now respawn on the title screen, but instead of voiding out to clear this the HUD here, he will press start or A to, as he's voiding out, Link will scream, and then you select the file that he just saved, and this will warp him into the King Bulblin fight. My technical knowledge on this isn't as good as some other commentators, but I'm not just gonna say that the game gets confused, but it's a little bit complicated. Simi likes to go for these spin attacks on King Bulblin, although you still deal the same amount of damage spin attack versus regular slashes. Simi got bad RNG here, although he's doing a really good job of catching up. Wow, that was a good bad RNG fight. So ideally you want him to turn right from the after the third hit, but he turned left twice, which is actually the worst RNG you can get. But Simi had a really good chase, so it didn't really end up costing him that much time. Kitcot now getting back in time. It looks like he got it. Very nice. None of the runners repeating the disaster that was the unfortunate beginning where they missed it like several times in a row. But they both missed it, so it's okay. It would have been very sad if one person got it and the other got it like fourth try. But that wasn't the case, luckily. As this is a 1v1, whereas the previous races that we have seen have been pool races. So in this case it didn't really matter for them.
So Simikins just entering the house and leaving to reload the area in Kakariko, so they can kill the Shadow Beasts and start the vessel.
Yeah, people's favorite Twilight, Elden Twilight.
Yep.
A lot shorter and more technical than Fair and Twilight, and especially in Lanayru Twilight. Kitcot had a bit of a rougher Bulblin fight, and he is not doing the same strat that Simi did, where he turns around on the bridge to like sort of one cycle. Not sure how much time it saves, but maybe something like 5 to 8 seconds or something.
So the Elden vessel will be pretty much exactly like any percent, with the exception of that you can only go for the wolf bomb house skip because you don't have the boomerang. So it's pretty tough that your only option is going for the super hard strat.
Yeah, hard mode. If you're a fan of this category, and this category is the third of a length of any percent, so it's a lot more sort of beginner friendly to get into. If you still want to learn any percent and do runs of that, but you don't have 3 hours to spare, then this category being an hour long is way easier to find time to run. But it is a bit rough when it comes to things like this. Personally, I still use the boomerang in any percent, as even though it is nice to save that few extra seconds, failing it is just, the run is just over for me at that point. But they don't have a choice here, so... Well, if they wish to go for the strat. The strat is not required, but it does save a lot of time. And we'll see that in a few minutes. So Kitcot now just starting the Twilight. Simi doing kind of a bonk strat here, where if you just bonk this wall on the left and then target the bug, he will come... Well, he should fall down. Here we go. That bug is like at the very top of this house, and normally you're supposed to climb up all these steps and like break a pot that he's in. But by doing that bonk into the wall, you bring the bug down to you, which is just way faster. Now, Simi had pretty good basement bugs. Let's see how Kitcot gets. Yeah, missing a couple of them. These bugs can be a bit of a pain to collect quickly. They spread pretty quickly, so as soon as something just goes a little bit off from like the game plan, then it can get very rough.
Also, Simikins bonking on the counter there to make the bug upstairs aggro faster, because he's asleep on the wall. So if you bonk on the counter, he will be active as you get up there.
Yep.
A bit faster.
Saves a few seconds. Bugs are very reactive to your movement. You see Kitcot now bonking as well. And yeah, the bug goes down. So it's all like bug manipulation in a way. And there are some bugs that we really want to make sure that you have like certain strategies going into the room to make it either like way faster or way easier. So like that thing Kitcot just did makes the whole room way easier. And also faster. So it's a win-win.
Also, some bugs you can push slightly after you've hit them to make them go closer to the place you want to go.
Yeah,
saves a little bit.
Since you can't collect the tier right away, it actually ends up being very useful for tasks. It's quite crazy to look at any like task that does a Twilight and see how far you can push the bug. But for RTA, it's very difficult to actually end up saving any reasonable amount of time with it. But you know, a few frames here and there.
I feel like some bugs are like you can push for a longer amount of time than others.
Yeah, some are easier to push than others. Alright, Simi doing Wolf Bombhouse skip, so
here we go.
There's a bug that wants to get into this house, and you can startle him very easily, but the trigger does not extend as far as where Sim is right now, but now he hit the trigger. The bug tries to enter the house,
Nice.
Simi kills the bug before the house, it goes into the house, and then the game is like, okay, if the bug is dead, then I'll render the house destroyed. Usually there's this huge sequence where you go into the house, it's a loading zone, and then you light a fireplace on fire. The bug is in the fireplace, on fire, flies around in the house, and the whole house, which is full of explosives, gets caught on fire, and then Midnight's like, we should probably leave. And then you leave as fast as you can, and there's a big cutscene where, it's a long cutscene where you can see the house explodes. But if the bug is already dead before it has a chance to enter the house, then the game is like, oh, you probably already watched this cutscene. So you skip that whole sequence. And Simi getting it first try, very nice. Falling down, like, it loses a lot of time, so yeah.
It was a very clean skip. I tried to follow his visual cue, but I couldn't see it.
Right, so Kitcot deciding to not go for it. Going for it and failing loses a lot of time, so this is respectable, just wanting to, you know, get past it, play it safe. Yeah, this is the sequence that we just talked about. And here is the cutscene of the house exploding, and then tears becoming collectible after this whole sequence. But it's very convenient that if you do this trick, then you can just instantly that there's no loading zone to deal with, like 2 loading zones technically, and then yeah, being able to skip this cutscene is very nice. But the house is a little bit funky if you do that trick, so it's possible, it's way easier, or I guess like it's impossible to void out in a casual playthrough where you watch the cutscene. But if you do the trick that's imitated, Wolf Bombhouse skip, then you can bonk as you're trying to collect the tears, and you can void yourself out. So
yep.
It's a little bit weird. The state of the house isn't like fully deloaded, or like it's not as it should be. It's close, but not quite.
Yeah, even though they look exactly the same.
They feel a bit different.
Yep.
So normally in N% you would collect some rupees in that watchtower, but we don't need rupees for anything in this run. In N% you would collect 300 rupees to repair the sky cannon to get access to the city in the sky. But there's nothing that requires rupees in this run. There's in fact nothing we even can buy, really. Because we skip so many items that there's no like refilling like a bottle with like a potion or anything, like nothing of that. Buying a shield for Goron Mines like you would in a casual playthrough. We already have one, so. And Simi finishing Elden Twilight. So now the game is like pretty much unlocked for, like, we've done a lot of the preparation, so we're almost ready to go into Goron Mines. But this is where, like, to beat Goron Mines, you need the Iron Boots. The Iron Boots get used quite a lot in the dungeon. But we also want to get access to Goron Mines, and as it is right now, there's an invisible wall in front of Goron Mines, and if you try to talk to the Goron Elder, even with Iron Boots from Bo, he will not let you in, and it's due to how the game state is with early Master Sword. But we can get some text boxes from Bo. We can do a glitch called text displacement, which is like getting at least 2 text boxes from Bo, and then sort of applying them to Goron, which is the Goron Elder that you're supposed to wrestle outside of the mines. So if you then apply Bo's text to him, he will grant you access. And you could go in at that moment, but then you don't have Iron Boots, so you do make an extra trip back to Ordon to get the boots. But if you were to go through all of Bo's text now, then you would clear text displacement. Like, you would get text displacement from the first few text boxes, and then as the conversation progresses, you would eventually lose text displacement. So we're gonna see Simi do like an extra trip to Ordon. So he's probably gonna talk twice. That's what he did in his last race. Or actually, no, he talked 4 times, I mean. If you talk 2 to 3 times, the conversation restarts when you revisit. But if you talk at least 4 times, so 4 to 6 times, then you will continue from where you left off. So now Simi has text displacement, but if he dies, like gets a game over screen, or save warps, or hits certain cutscenes, or talk to certain NPCs, then he can very much easily lose text displacement. So he needs to be careful. And what happened, unfortunately, in the pool race from a few days ago, was that he wasn't really paying attention to his screen when he ran around here waiting for this meteor to fall down. And he accidentally hit a cutscene that's very difficult to hit. It was very unfortunate that he hit it. And that cutscene cleared text displacement. But so far he's good. The cutscene of the meteor falling down is one that does not clear text displacement, so he's good.
He had to do some improvised routing then.
Yeah, on the fly. I tried to help him a little bit in the chat and just confirming like what he should and shouldn't do. Oh, see me getting a quick climb on the Goron. Not entirely sure how that works, but you can quickly climb the Goron if you approach him from the right angle. I'm gonna try to avoid these 2 Gorons by side hopping. Oh, very nice. Barely dodging the last one. Simi likes to do that side hop where, since you have a shield, if you side hop, your shield is still active, so the Goron will hit your shield, get stunned, and then you can slash him like immediately. It's a little bit faster than doing like a regular block and then a stab. But the risky thing, of course, is that you can get hit, and if you're close to the edge, you can get hit off, so... Kitcot, unfortunately, transforming into wolf instead of warping. Just being a bit too fast on the buttons. So now Simi applied text displacement to Goron by talking to him there. And it looks like he did it correctly this time. So now Goron Mines is unlocked, but he doesn't have Iron Boots, so he does need to come back to Bo to get the boots.
Also walking all the way into the corner there to be able to transform into wolf and teleport, because it's the closest place that you can transform without being caught.
Yeah, so in general, like that, you're not supposed to be able to warp at all in that whole area, but there's one little spot in the corner where it doesn't check, like where they don't see you, so convenient. We used to actually go all the way out, like leave the area and then transform, like warp outside. Then we realized that we can warp right by the entrance, and then I realized that we can warp by that little corner, like little spot there. Out.
So it's the only place that works in that room?
No, at the very beginning of the room, by the entrance, like right at the loading zone, it also works. Let's see if Kitcot can also dodge the Gorons. So normally we get like a prompt where you wrestle them, But if you turn your camera away from them, you can do these side hops to avoid. Oh, very nice second dodge. The Goron wasn't even on screen.
Yeah, didn't seem wicked.
Alright, so Simi now going to wrestle Bo. Bo is just rock, paper, scissors with button mashing as well. So if you mash about 11-12 times a second roughly, then you can get a 1 cycle. Kitcot now applied Texas placement to Goron. Alright, so Simi wants Bo to either do nothing or sidestep. Excellent. He now needs to mash quickly. Ah, not enough. Oh no. Bo is turning this around, literally.
Oh no.
He now has to push him over the other side of the arena, of the ring. But normally in any percent you could do this about 6-7 minutes in. So you would get this RNG fest out of the way early, which is very convenient. But in this category it's very late into the run. So if you get bad RNG, then it's just how it is. There's 2 rounds of wrestling, so good RNG. Let's see if you can mash fast enough. That time Simi mashed fast enough to 1 cycle. Very nice. So there's potential for Kitcot to save some time here if he also gets good RNG and manages to 1 cycle in both times. If he's given the opportunity, if Bo gives him the opportunity and he can mash quick enough. But there we have the iron boots, and it's the second item and the last item we'll get in this run in terms of on your item wheel. Only the lantern and the iron boots. Whereas normally in a casual playthrough you would have, let's see, iron boots, lantern, slingshot, gale boomerang, bottle, fishing rod. And I believe that's it. So way more items, but I think it's pretty cool how we can do this dungeon with only 2 items. It's very like minimal. Yes, and then eventually you would get Bo. That's right. I forgot about that. So yeah, you would get the dungeon item at the end, like near the end of the dungeon. Very true. All right, so Simi will now do early elevator, which is a pretty cool trick where you can clip in here, do a jump slash to not fall out of the map, turn wolf, and then here you can just jump across and get back in bounds from out of bounds here. And
very nice.
It's very, very clean. So you get access to the elevator early. Let's see if Kitcot gets a good bow. Oh no. Unfortunate RNG for Kitcot there.
It's just how Bo is.
And Simi is in Goron Mines. Now, as I mentioned before, Simi likes to go for risky strats. So there's one at the beginning here that saves like 1.5 seconds and loses you like 30 seconds maybe. That is attempting right now. But that is a pretty good setup that is using. It rarely goes wrong if you do it right. Well, if you do it right, then it shouldn't go wrong, but you like land at the very edge there. But it's a flame skip. We'll see another flame skip right here. This one saves a few more seconds. You can either use that torch slug to take damage from him and then run across here, or you can use the fireball from the fire toad poli, I believe his name is. So you're abusing invincibility frames to just roll past that big flame jet. As you just took damage from another damage source, then the game will prevent knockback as well. Damage and knockback. If knockback was not prevented, then well, I suppose you do find like a spot where you avoid knockback as well. Simi might go for risky. Oh, okay, they did bonk there, but he usually goes for risky but time saver to node saves 4 seconds only, which is just getting an early cycle in that room there. Kitcot unfortunately being just not fast enough to make it up before the steam cycle. And yet there is a meteor shower in this area, so if you're just a little bit off, then like if you're just not quick enough at the beginning of this, then eventually you will get the meteor rain. You just have to wait it out.
In the slab 3 times. What's the minimal or the minimum amount you need to pull that?
I haven't tried to, but maybe it's possible for TAS, or like segmented, if you just get perfect rolls and like a really good angle. But
Yeah.
no, Kitcot went back in bounds. Oh no, and he got a blue rupee. He's rich though. More money than Simi.
Hey.
So unfortunately, he was a bit too close to the right wall there and clipped back in bounds. He has to go around the area now and retry. And good awareness from him there to avoid the... Because that steam will blow you all the way down into the hot spring there, so gotta be careful. Looks like he might... Yeah, he's climbing normally, not doing early elevator. As he's coming from this side, he's already up here. Yeah, Simi just got the first key shard. The game doesn't actually check for you to have all key shards by the end. So there's like 3 key shards and they together assemble the boss key. But when you get the last one, you get the complete key. Or the game doesn't check for you to have the previous 2 key shards. So having the third piece is all that matters. Because the game doesn't think that it's possible for you to skip the first or second one. And it is possible to skip both of them. The first one is not possible to skip without hidden skills though, or the magic armor. So it's only really viable for ILs. So for this category we could skip the second one, which is known as key shard skip, as it's the only one we can skip. And I believe we'll see both runners attempt it.
You also see Simikins slash his sword here, when it's a very straightforward path. Saves a little bit of time, rather than just holding forward and walking. But he's not gonna do it when he's close to walls like this, because he'll just bonk his sword into the wall and stay put in place. Yeah,
and you pretty much void all the time save you save by hitting the wall one time.
Yeah, it's very small time save.
Kitcot rolling under the flame jet instead of doing the strat Simi did. There are various ways you can do that room. And yeah, I believe that the TAS saved 7 seconds. X all dungeon TAS saved 7 seconds over one of my older PBs that did not slash there. So I estimate that RTA could maybe save around 4 seconds, because it's pretty unrealistic to say that, oh, if the TAS saved 7 seconds, then we can also save 7 seconds. But yeah, not really gonna happen. So there's a very cool trick in the next room called a wolf gate clip. You want to cover that, Kick?
Well, since I fail it in most of my runs, I guess it's just I don't know how precise it is, if it's just pixel perfect, but
not quite pixel perfect, but it is very precise. Yeah, a very small portion of the gate that you can climb up into and through. Very good initial lineup. Very nice, quick clip.
Yeah, that was really quick.
He had the angle like coming up to the gate. That was very nice. Yeah, so for whatever reason, Wolflink has a bit of a smaller hitbox there, so he can attempt to climb up the middle part of the gate there, and then just pop through. As the game doesn't want him to climb it, so he just ends up popping through onto the other side.
It was also very close. If you cut the rope there, it's a big chance that you can fall all the way down as the bridge falls down. Saves a little bit. Also looks very cool. I don't know if you need some momentum going for it, I guess.
Yeah,
the right angle.
You want to do a running slash like right before you walk off the edge.
Also a bit risky since you can just jump off down to the bottom again.
I lost like 7 seconds to that in my PV at least.
Yep.
So it's a bit unfortunate. Can very easily happen. So, key shard skip. In other runs that have the boomerang, you could simply do a boomerang long jump attack across this gap, but we don't have the boomerang, so we're gonna do first try setupless
Nice.
KSS instead. Very nice from Simi. Excellent. So with a really precise grab there, and the slashes too. Wow, Simi putting on a show. That was just perfect. This room. Textbook. So you're just barely able to grab the ledge from the upper platform there as you're hopping off of the highest point of the rotating platform. And just Simi putting on a show doing it is a very hard trick. Yeah, putting on a clinic here for sure. The Dan Goro fight here, there's like a little trick we can do where if we stand right here when we toss him off, he will grab the ledge, and then if you try to climb up, he will then get clipped into the platform and he'll take a second hit from the lava. So essentially skip a cycle. Pretty good fight, almost. There's RNG involved on the last hit, but and Simi wasn't given the perfect RNG there, but he did get a hit like right at the end, so he didn't have to wait for him to be vulnerable as he would in the normal fight.
It depends on which direction he comes up from the lava, like if you can slash him or not.
Yeah. So Kitcot just finished the magnetic ceiling room. We didn't mention this earlier, but the Wii version can actually do a Wii 1.0 specific glitch where you can unequip the iron boots as you're being pulled up onto the ceiling, and then you can just run around on the magnetic ceiling without iron boots on, and you have way faster movement speed. And that saves like something like 45 seconds over GameCube, because you can't do that trick on GameCube. And that is the reason why Wii is the fastest for this category. I think I actually didn't mention that earlier where I said Japanese is the fastest, but not Japanese GameCube. So Japanese Wii would be the fastest for this. Just because of that trick. Or well, Wii also having slightly faster loads. Simi going for a crazy strat where you don't shoot the bridge down right away. Not really convinced it saves time, but it looks really cool. So he would shoot the bridge now as he waits for that BMOs to turn around. So as soon as you hit the eye of the BMO, there's like the BMO needs to turn to this spot before you can pull it. So you do have a little bit of downtime where you can shoot the bridge from behind, but it's even missing quite a few shots here. NZ aim. And Kitcot getting gate flip. Looked pretty good. I didn't quite catch how long it took, but it seems to be pretty good. And that is the third key shard. So now we can open the boss door. Very good rolls from Simi here. We didn't mention this at the start, but chaining frame perfect rolls is the way to upkeep your speed, especially up slopes in this game. So if you're rolling on flat ground, then I mean ideally you want to do frame perfect rolls anyway in most cases. But if you're going uphill, like up a steep slope, and you miss a roll, like you roll on a second possible frame, then you will lose all of your speed, and there's no way to gain that speed back until you go back on flat ground. So yep. It's very important to keep chaining your rolls uphill, which Simi did for that entire room, so that was very nice.
He also slashed walking past Dangoro there, because if you just mash A to roll, you will stop and talk to him. So it's pretty easy to miss, but he just slightly presses B before A there to slash, and that just removes the option of talking.
Yeah. Kitcot deciding not to go for key shard skip. Key shard skip saves, I believe it's 20 seconds. I might be a bit off on that. It's been a while since I checked the timing, but it doesn't save like that much time. I believe if you do it like, if you get it on your 8th try, you're even with getting the key shard from the Goron here. So Kitcot just playing it safe and doing it the intended way. Because if you get this, if you're stuck on this trick and you can't get past it, then it would have been faster to get the key.
There's pretty much only one risky thing you can do left in this run.
And that happened.
Unfortunately, Simikins missed it.
Yeah, so if he had jump attack just a little earlier, he would have landed onto the bridge there. But he has quite a lead on Kitcot, so he's fine in terms of that. But it does lose quite a lot of time falling back into the water, having to climb the ladder again. Link does not climb ladders very quickly in this game. So normally you're supposed to use the bow to shoot the rope, but you get a long cutscene. And you can't... And the platform will keep moving, the magnetic structure here. Yeah, I seem to be going for the safe one where you land on the wooden bridge instead, or the wooden platform. Good choice. It's only just a few seconds slower than landing on the bridge. And way easier to perform. Kitcot fighting Dan Goron. I didn't quite catch the start of the fight, but it might have looked like he maybe didn't do it the same way Simi did. I might be wrong. Right. So Simi now entering Fyrus, the boss of this dungeon, and after Fyrus has been defeated and he has entered the portal, he will have finished Goron Mines, and that's the end of the run. So this fight is pretty cool looking, but very easy. No special phases or anything. It is the second dungeon in the game, so it makes sense that it's not too extremely difficult. It's actually possible to defeat Fyrus using only arrow shots, but you do need a lot of arrow shots.
I had no idea that was the thing.
Yeah, so you can actually defeat him without using the iron boots to pull him down. You can just keep shooting him in the eye. But it takes a while.
Yeah, as the guy said, every face looks pretty much the same. And you will almost always end up with the same time in this fight.
There is one thing where... oh, Simi missing shots, commentator's curse.
He heard me.
Yeah, so ideally you want to be behind him when you pull the... So Simi letting go there and grabbing another chain, very wise. Because he will fall over when you are, let's see, I suppose perpendicular to his back. So ideally you want it to be right in front of you and have a straight pull from that.
Yep, and that's the fight.
So this cutscene is a bit over a minute long, and then there's as long as his game doesn't crash, then Simi should be the winner of this one. And the winner of this match will face off against the Glubbers in the quarterfinal. Let's see, Kitcot on his way to Fyrus. In this room that Kitcot is in, you can actually get an LGA using the Gale Boomerang, if we had it at this point, to make that sequence right there a little bit faster. So it skips landing in the water. So in all dungeons run would utilize that. As in all dungeons you would have a lot more items coming into this dungeon. Like you would have the claw shot right here, so you could skip this whole outside area. Kitcot not killing the archer there.
GG, Simikins.
Yeah, GG to Simikins. 102.14, looks like. Very nice run. Well, a bit of trouble at the start. I know he's not happy about it, but 102 is still a good time. Yes, if you don't kill those archers, the Kitcot didn't do, then you get a cutscene right there. And it's a little bit longer than it should be, to be honest. But yeah, Simi moves on to the next round. Now let's see if Kitcot gets the strat that Simi didn't get first time. He's on the wrong side of the... Oh. I'm glad he didn't let go and try for anything risky. He's just gonna wait it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It was probably the best move, just waiting there.
Yeah.
Be trying.
Nice, a turn around. Looks good. Very nice.
So it's a bit weird dropping there, because when you face one direction, when you're upside down, when you drop, you will face not necessarily 180 degrees to that you had previous, but will face a different direction. So I've definitely fallen into the water there before until I learned that. But
Yeah, and we saw it from Simi, so it can happen to the best of us. Literally. Alright, Kitcot entering fires. Simi did miss some arrow shots on the last round, so we could potentially see a cleaner fight from Kitcot here. The first shot here is actually pretty important, because as soon as you, if you miss a shot there, then he starts moving and it gets more and more difficult to hit the eye. So getting the first shot is actually pretty important to starting off with a good fight. It can snowball into a bit of a panic if you don't get the first shot. And there are some pots around the arena that refills arrows and hearts, but shouldn't be any need for doing that. So ideally you want to grab the chains as soon as you can before he starts moving. Also a pretty fast pull on the second cycle. And yeah, having the Master Sword here deals more damage, so the Master Sword in most cases deals twice as much damage as the Ordon Sword, so you're able to do just a roll stab, a big damage hit like roll stab, spin attack, or jump attack. So one hit on the eye to advance into the next cycle, whereas with the Ordon Sword you would have to do 2 big hits, so a jump attack, quick spin for instance. A roll stab wouldn't be enough. And that should be the last hit.
there we go.
That was a faster fight than Simmons, I believe. He did miss the first few shots, but maybe they rounded each other up. So Kitcot unfortunately being eliminated from the tournament, but a good showing. It is what it is.
He ended up with more rupees at least.
Yeah, who's the real winner? I mean, Anorakis would always joke about the real goal of this category being to buy the bomb bag from Barnes, because you need to beat Goron Mines to buy the bomb bag. So he would often go and get some more rupees and buy the bombs and be like, I won the actual goal of the category.
Can't argue with that.
He's going to skip the heart container, no need for that, and just roll straight into the portal. And that's GG.
GG.
GG, Kitcot.
Hello, GG.
How do you feel about that run?
I feel like the first 3 minutes just kind of speaks to themselves. Like,
Yeah, what happened? I saw you look at your controller like, is my controller even working properly?
no, the D-pad was just not working. I've had this before where like I hold it down and the D-pad will just go like no you, but yeah, I don't know, man. It just yep.
Well, the same thing happened to Simi. He also missed back in time at the start several times, so...
Yeah, I saw on the reshow, I'm like, wait. I thought I was on Simi's screen for a second, and I looked and I was like, you know, I saw the dude, you know, fail safety bet, and I looked down and I was like, Simi, I'm like, wait. Yeah, so that was cool. But no, it was, I don't know,
You got first try sword and shield skip, so you caught up on Simi on that. So that was great.
I think that, like, with the exception of the start, that was actually not a bad run for me. EMS went quite well. Sword and shield skip was quite good as well. I think that, in my mind, I think like, half of me kind of wanted to go for, like, really safe strats half the time. Or I was kind of torn between either playing incredibly safe or playing incredibly aggressive, because obviously my opponent is Simi, right? And I kind of, like... You know, I didn't go for bomb house skip. I kind of just like played it safe there. I did try and do early elevator because I was a little bit more confident in my ability to do that, but it appears I didn't go as planned. But oh well. So
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate getting clipped back in bounds, but I think it was a good decision to like use the Goron as you went around, as you were already a bit higher up at that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. So I think, I mean, 106. That's it's still not a great time, but like considering the amount of mistakes, I'll kind of take that.
Technically, it was a bit faster, right? Because you couldn't reset your splits, otherwise you would forfeit. I assumed you joined through live splits, so that would forfeit from the race. So, because you having to retry back in time, you technically restart the run. So it was a bit, several minutes shorter than that actually, or faster.
Ah, okay. Thank you, Simi. Because yeah, like half the time I won't clip in, and it's like I wasn't quite sure why, but yeah, me not holding up the shield makes a lot of sense actually. So I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, it's common for people to target roll and like be too quick on the control stick afterwards. That kind of messes it up a bit. Yeah. There are several ways. Lots of things can go wrong. Like you do a lot of inputs quickly there, so lots of room for error.
Yeah, it's a bit finicky, but no. Well, I guess technically I did restart that run. So the run itself may have been faster than 106. I don't know, but either way, it is what it is. I fully came into this race expecting to lose, and that was the outcome I got. So I am in no way surprised. But yeah.
Good vibes. Having a positive attitude, good sportsmanship.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I was gonna say something there, but it didn't quite make sense in my mind. Anyway,
I don't think Simi really expected. None of us expected Simi to be in the redemption bracket, but
Yeah, no. I think that's just kind of what I was gonna say. Like I guess out of all my first opponents, Simi would have been the last person I expected. But I could tell my guy's gonna smash the redemption bracket.
Yeah, the first thing Simi says is apologizing to all the people in the redemption bracket.
I mean,
but we learned something new from his run. Like we got a bit more knowledge about TD at the end of it all, so it's a community win.
Honestly, yeah. Glover's in chat, knocking out Simi next race. Yeah. Well, I guess having like one Titan in the redemption bracket kind of gives people something to aim for, I guess. But yeah.
Would you also like to join the call, Simi? Get a bit of a post-game interview. Oh yeah, Simi and Glover's planning the next race in chat at the moment. You can't? Okay, I see. No worries. Yeah, so Simi versus Glover is going to be next in the redemption bracket. And then in the tournament in general, I believe tomorrow is... I think the next match is Zelds versus Dish, which is Wii versus Wii. There aren't that many Wii runners, but it will be interesting to see a Wii versus Wii this early on.
Definitely sounds interesting. I think isn't Wii faster for GMRTA if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, it's faster by about a minute, I would say. It's like about 45 seconds with the trick in that one room, and then load times after that.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, yeah. I kind of learned this with the glitch when I was learning that category, because it's like, Wii is technically faster, but it's such a different switch that you kind of have to like relearn. I don't know how FX swaps between GC and Wii so quickly. It's like you have to kind of relearn a lot of muscle memory, even though you're playing the same game.
Exactly.
I feel anyway.
Yeah. So it's a lot of adjustment needed for that.
Yeah, so it definitely kind of explains a lot of like the lack of Wii runners, but it just makes their existence more interesting, I guess.
Yep. Well, that about does it for this race. GG's, and thanks for participating. It was a lot of fun to watch.
GG to both of you.
GG's indeed. Commiserations, Kitcot, for being eliminated from the tournament. Congratulations, Simi, for moving on to the next round. And thanks, obviously, everyone for watching. And thank you also to our wonderful commentators, Skyrion and Cake, for making this a very interesting and entertaining hour for me, at least. I learned a lot about Twilight Princess, and I hope you all had a great time too. And bit of a schedule announcement. What is next on Zelda Speedruns? Well, At midnight UTC, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Link to the Past Randomizers Pilot Spoiler Tournament. That is round 2, game 1. It is Dangerous to go alone, take Nep versus the Ringers. Those are team names. And 2 hours later, over on ZSR2, we have so that is 2 a.m. UTC, 9 p.m. Eastern. That is the Zelda 2 Randomizer Standard Weekly race. Next, Twilight Princess LavaDash race, as I think it was Sky already alluded to, is
a bit more than 24 hours.
There we go. Yeah, in a bit more than 24 hours, 1 a.m. UTC on February 18th, that is Saturday, or that is 8 p.m. Eastern, that is still Friday, February 17th. LavaDash Redemption Bracket Round 1, Zelts versus Dish, over on ZSR3. And with that, I say thank you all for watching. What do you get if you go back a console generation and add a randomizer? Well, you get OTR, and we're gonna go look at how that race is going. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon here on ZeldaSpeedRuns.
Thank you very much.